thank you so much for joining me on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Super pleased to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored. This is exciting.
So let's start first with Tara, where are you in the world? What do you do? How did you get to be doing that?
Well, my name is Tara Hainsworth. I am in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I own a hair salon. It's called Hainsworth Company Salon. It's about 5.5 years old, so I feel like I'm a little baby salon owner, but I've been doing hair for 15 years. I'm from Utah originally, and I kind of knew I wanted to do hair at a really, really young age. But it was also something that kind of scared me because I didn't grow up in a family where it was really focused on getting your hair done and wearing makeup and clothes. I was kind of the only one that was interested in this like beauty industry type of thing. So I was always kind of scared to get into it because I didn't think it would come naturally to me, but it was just this thing I really wanted to do. So I decided to go to hair school. I fell absolutely in love with it. It's been quite a journey to get to where I am today, from experiencing 3 assisting programs to working commission salons, rental salons, to working in salon suites, and to now owning my own space. So I feel that I've had a wide experience in all the industry has to offer. And for a long time, I always thought I'm going to find the place I feel like me. I'm going to find the place where I feel like I can be myself. I'm just going to keep searching for the salon that I can work at that will provide that. And it took one day for me to realize, okay, I don't think I'm going to find it. I think I'm meant to build it. So that's where Hainsworth Company, the idea that came. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't think it could be a reality to own a salon, but here we are. It's a total dream, and it's a whirlwind at the same time.
For sure. I love that. It's a little bit similar to my own experience where I got the job I didn't want. I didn't get the job that I did want in terms of culture, and the job that I did get, I thought, oh, I cannot work there. Do you know, there was smoking in the salon and arriving late and all of these things. I was like, no, I'll just have to do it myself. And a little bit of ignorance sometimes is the best thing, right?
Exactly.
So one of the things that one of your superpowers, shall we say, is team culture. And I know if we don't get this piece right, like our team are the engine of our business. It's the thing that makes the wheels go round. And it is the piece that we have to nail. So tell us a little bit about some key focuses in terms of nailing team culture. What do you think is the most important thing?
Well, when it comes to team culture, I think what's most important is consistency. It's not only the team culture that you create, that's obviously so important, but I think it's even more important that it's a culture that you create that can be consistently focused on and never forgotten. Because a lot of times, and I'm sure you've also experienced this working at a space where you knew it was going to be so amazing, and they kind of made it sound like it was going to be this and that, and it was going to offer this for you. And then you start working there and, well, where did that team culture go that I thought I was going to experience? So I think one of your most important aspects of being a salon owner or building a team is creating a culture that you can actually be consistent with and that feels super natural to you. It has to be a culture that comes from you and is supernatural, so that it doesn't become a job for you to have to remember to add into the experience. It has to be so natural that it's just effortless and the whole team just jumps on board. I think also needs to be something that needs to be talked about and clarified, because the only way to find the people that actually have a desire for the culture that you create, you need to know that you offer that. So I think it needs to be something that you can easily explain. So I started with a team of 2, and now we're at a team of 20. And being able to experience over the last 5.5 years, actually putting that into practice has been crucial to helping us build our team into not only the powerhouse that it is, but the type of people we have working for us are just exactly what Hainsworth needs and wants to be a foundation for. So I think consistency is huge when it comes to team culture.
I love that, because it's really easy to overpromise and underdeliver, or be driven by great ideas and what's possible and what you would like to do. But would you say, I know this has certainly been my experience, if I can do less and do it better and be consistent about establishing that before I pick up the next thing, is that your experience too, around like being consistent in the things that you want to achieve or that you are putting into the business?
Absolutely. I think there's definitely like ebbs and flows. Now there's just like such a wide variety of everything that it takes for this machine to be built, like continuing to build and being consistent. There's just so many more things that it's a lot more difficult to do the little steps, where before, when it was a smaller team and in our 280 square foot super suite, there was all the time in the world to focus on culture. And it was, there's not many people. There's so much easier for us to have family dinners once a month and have everyone go over to my house and cook a meal, because family is one of our core foundations. And I want everyone to have that same feeling. I want to make them my mom's homemade ice cream recipe and homemade chocolate chip cookies and be in my home and in my space, where now when there's 20 of us, you have to like sign a contract to have a restaurant like table saved for you, because there's so many. So it's like, okay, maybe we can only do team dinners or family dinners 4 times a year instead of every single month. So I think too, like allowing that flexibility to happen in your culture with the way your team is and your business is growing. I think that's also crucial. I've also like experienced so many times when this business was smaller, it was like more intimate and more focus on the team. And then when they grew, that's when people were like, it's not really that much fun. So that's been a heavy focus for me as well from past experiences, is making sure that even though we're growing, certain elements of the team culture will never be sacrificed, even for the size that we are. So instead of it being a restaurant that we're going to rent out a movie theater, and we're going to invite everybody's families, their kids, their siblings, like any way to make sure that family focus, that foundation that we have at Hainsworth, is heavily focused on and is consistent. You kind of have to like also ebb and flow, I feel like, with team culture.
Yeah, I love that you're holding on to the essence and the principles rather than just the action. So it can't be here anymore, but we'll still do a thing and it's going to be over here. And that's the flexibility that you talked about, but it also, I guess, creates a little bit of spice of life, changes things up, keeps things fresh, but without, losing the foundation of your culture. So what are some of the things that you've really focused on and that you've decided, no matter how big we get or how things change, that these are the things that we don't change? So like your monthly get together is one. What would be another example of a cultural thing that you won't let go of?
Yeah, we're super big on celebrating everyone's wins. That's, I think, what's one of my main focuses, because I also mentor each of the girls on a one-on-one basis. And we have girls that work on our leadership team that also help me mentor. And so we have a heavy hand in everyone's goals, their personal goals, their career goals. And every time they hit those big numbers, or every time they pay off the credit card, or every time they have a new baby, we're always there to celebrate everyone's big wins in life and in business. So one of the main things we focus on is, I actually have hired on our leadership team, because culture is so important to me. One of our girls I've hired as our team culture representative, and it is solely her job, aside from working behind the chair and having a co-hair designer and doing all the amazing things that she does. She also believes so much in the mission of us wanting to have this culture that just cannot be, we can't live without, truly. So she focuses on everyone's birthdays and makes sure everyone gets a beautiful time focused on birthdays, birthday cards. All of us play a huge role in celebrating everyone's big wins. And it's honestly, when the team gets really big, I feel like that's one of the hardest jobs, is remembering that everyone has wins and everyone has goals and everyone's actually achieving them. If you don't take the time to celebrate them, then you don't realize like what amazing things you've done in the past 6 months. And by us really focusing on celebrations, we're able to go, okay, we were on the news this month. We finished 3 books this month. We paid off a credit card. We bought a new car, and we had a new baby. And it's like so exciting when you think of everything as a team, like what we all collectively have done and achieved in last month. It makes it feel like there's nothing we can't achieve when we're together.
I love that. That's really, really great. One of the things you mentioned is mentoring, that you mentor each of your team members. And you mentioned to me before that there are some foundations that you really focus on around your mentoring. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, this is honestly one of my favorite things to talk about in business, and especially for girls that work behind the chair, or guys that work behind the chair. It's so exciting for me to be able to ask these really in-depth questions. And it's the first thing I always put everyone through whenever I do a mentorship experience is, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? How are you doing it? And how can you replicate it? And that usually starts with what I call soul work. And it's a lot of stuff that you have to dig down deep inside of you to figure out the answers to those questions. Because yeah, we're doing hair, but what are we really doing? So asking those questions like, okay, what's your why? Well, I want to be successful. Okay, but what's really your why? Right? It's like, well, then they can dig deep and figure out, like, I have this experience from when I was a child that really drives me, and it gives them this whole different sense of purpose. So when it comes to the 4 foundations, they're heavily, I kind of try to simplify it in business because we're all running a business. So I break it down in 4 statements. What's your mission statement? What's your vision statement? What's your why statement? And what's your impact statement? So those are all pretty much the first thing we work on, and everyone has a different time period. Some stylists are able to just tell me right away, and they can just figure them out in the next month. We're working on the next part of our mentorship experience. And some, it takes a couple months to really dig deep and really find those answers. But as soon as they know exactly from within them, it's not what they're finding from the outside, or they're not allowing anyone else to answer for them. They have to answer it. They have to find it, and they have to believe in it. Then there is nothing that stops them with their goals, with their vision, with their dream, whether it's behind the chair or in their career or in their personal life. It's truly what I love to do more than hair. I know it's so evil to say that, but
no, I think that's really great, because at some point, the same for myself, sometimes you recognize that you're in love with business more than the technical skill of the business. And that's, I think, really when business can elevate and can grow beyond and be something more. So I think celebrate that for sure.
Thank you. It's been kind of crazy to think that you started off with this idea of creating this space where you can do hair freely and you can be yourself and you can attract these ideal clients, and then we're going to replicate it so other people can come do it too. And now what I do really has nothing to do with hair. It's so funny how it started with hair, and now when I'm doing hair, it kind of keeps me away from doing all the real work that needs to be done. I almost feel like guilty when I'm doing hair, and it's just funny. But I've always told the girls that when you dig down deep and figure out what your foundations are, for me, it was always, hair was never the actual reason. Hair has always been the tool for me to be able to do what I really think I'm meant to do, and that's people work. So I always feel really grateful for the ability of doing hair and for the choice that I made to do hair, because I don't think I could be able to dig in so deep with clients or stylists if it wasn't for this passion that we have to help human beings be their best, most beautiful, confident selves. So
yeah, how lucky are we to be in this industry, really?
Truly, it's just it's an amazing gift and an opportunity. I feel that shouldn't ever be taken lightly, because a brand new client walking in the door is just as much a stranger as the person standing behind you in Target. But the difference is when they're in your chair in the first 15 minutes, you know about how many kids they have, whether they've been through a divorce, whether they've had a huge career jump that day, or just bought a brand new house, or so much about someone in 15 minutes when they're sitting in your chair. Whereas when you're in Target, it's pulling teeth to get them to say anything to you other than, hi, how's your day? It's good. Cool. It's just so crazy the difference with just 15 minutes is with the environment that we're given.
Yeah. I want to just touch for a moment on this guilt of the time that you're spending on clients versus the time then spending on the business, which includes the people and the people work that you're doing. And I want to shine a light on it for a moment, because it's quite opposite to the majority of the people in the industry, where they feel guilty when they're not doing hair. And this is the work that I do. Tara, with business owners to switch the mindset to be the other way around, so you can grow a business, you can serve more clients through a great team. And this is the stuck point. We get into hair and we love doing hair and we have a great relationship with these clients. How do we tear ourselves away from that to actually work on this other entity, which is the business, which is kind of a little bit bigger? What are your thoughts on the balance of the two and where we should be investing our time?
You know, it's funny because I feel like most salon owners that I talk to about this is one of the biggest reasons why it is hard to pull away from hair is because it's the easiest way to get cash. It's the easiest way to make money. And you're like, this is how I can survive because everything I'm making is going into something else. So it's almost this tug and pull where if you're not doing hair, then it feels like things are going to take a lot longer to get to where you want it to go. At least that's been my experience speaking with other salon owners. And also, it's hard to trust other people to take care of your clients because you've built this great relationship with them. And it's been an interesting process for sure. But I remember going from, I was working behind the chair like 6-7 days a week. I was working 8 to 10, sometimes 12 hours a day. And I was like really big and pregnant with my daughter. And my assistant at the time was like, Tara, you are not going to be able to keep doing this. And I just kept thinking by taking more clients and working behind the chair, improving myself more as a stylist, I was going to be this more adequate salon owner because I'm the stylist that takes the most clients and that makes the most money behind the chair. And I always thought that was going to be the direction, but it took something physically happening to me and having a child for me to rethink differently and realize how precious my time really was and how I really needed to focus on what was most important. And although taking clients is going to help my own family make more financial successes, it wasn't going to help the salon. It was actually going to prohibit the salon from making success, which means all of these people that are on my team that are trusting in my business and my brand to keep leveling up so that they weren't going to be able to do that if I was working behind the chair. And it became this thing where I was doing my team a disservice by working behind the chair. And I was being more selfish by taking time behind the chair. And I really needed to practice what I preach. And if I'm going to train these super bomb hair designers, I need to make sure I can prove to them, and I prove to my own clients, that I'm going to give my clients to them and they're going to take such good care of them. Hell, they might actually be better than me. And I hope they are without killing my Leo pride. But I hope they do an more amazing job because it will show that not only do I know how to do what I do, I can teach someone to do it and they can do it better than me. And with that mentality, things just started to soar. And I became less feeling like a shackle to the chair and more of this like, oh my gosh, I want to get in the office. I want to get on the computer. I want to be making connections. I want to get our team's names out there and I want to be talking about them. I don't want to be talking about me. And things just really came together. So that was been my experience.
Yeah, I think that's great because it is a bit of an ego letting go process. And even though we don't realize sometimes that it's our ego that we're holding on to, or that is holding on to what we know and what served us to date. Yeah, it's that's going to allow us to propel. I want to tackle the issue that I hear most salon owners that I speak to say to me, but what if I train them and then they leave? I don't have the time and the energy to spend training them and they're just going to go off and have their own career. What's your take on that?
Oh man, from personal experience, I think this one's a tough one for me because we have this heavy family focus in our culture. I get really close with my girls and I honestly, like, when someone leaves, it is like losing a family member and it is hard. I've learned in positive ways and I've learned in negative ways, the ways that I want to continue to do things in the future. I think that I've learned that when I have a mindset of scarcity and keeping everyone and not losing anyone, then I end up creating a business that makes allows certain behaviors to be okay, or allows my biggest dreams and goals to be the not the priority anymore. It keeps things from progressing. And when I have this mindset that I don't want anyone to leave, I want to make sure that they stay with me forever, then my business will not grow. And I've learned that the hard way when I've changed things in order to make some people happy, or when I've adjusted things to one stylist, it's made things worse for the whole team in its entirety. And so thankfully we're at this beautiful place, my husband and I, where there's so much bigger, everything's so much bigger than myself and even each of my team members. And it requires all of us to make these dreams happen. And if some people go, it's okay, because there's more people to fill. That's going to be more what the salon and the business needs in that moment in time. So as hard as it is when someone chooses to leave, it's for the better of them. It's for the better of my salon, and for the better of me. And if they leave and go be an amazing stylist and open an awesome salon, cool. I played a role in that, and I hope nothing but happiness and success. That's the mindset I have to continue to remind myself to stay in, or else you're just going to prevent your own business from growing.
Yeah, I agree, because I think on the converse, if we stay in the scarcity mindset and we choose not to train, then we're capping our own potential, because the quality of our talent is now capped. And so I think there's this kind of, I don't know what the magic number is, but it's somewhere in the 5 to 8 team members sort of space, that we start to be able, the business and the culture and the brand starts to be able to be bigger than any individual. Because when you're 2 or 3 people, one person leaves, it's devastating. It's a third of your business, or it's a quarter of your business. And the impact is quite high. But you get to a certain tipping point where actually, if one person was gone and you haven't replaced that person yet, the business can continue like a train on the tracks. It can continue to go without really noticing that one car has fallen off, so to speak, outside of the cultural and the heartbeat hardness, of course. So I think, more team members are more to manage, but there's some allowances or luxuries for getting to a certain size where you can carry on anyway, as you say.
It's true. And I think it's, for me, I was so glad I started small, because I knew I had these big, huge ambitions, but what if I started with these big ambitions and then I changed my mind? Like, I was always so scared. I'm like, I know I want to, and I feel I'm supposed to do it, but what if I'm not willing to put the work in for it? Like, when it really comes down to it, what if I don't have what it takes? I was having those conversations with myself. And so I went from I was a rental stylist with a book of 297 clients and 1 assistant. And I'm like, either looking at 1,200 square foot space or a 280 square foot super suite. And I thought, if I start here, I don't rely on anyone. I can financially afford it. If everyone quits and hates the way that I teach and lead and own, then that won't matter, because I'll be fine. I can just use the whole super suite for myself. And I had that mentality where they need me, I don't need them. So I can see if I really can try this on and see if I like it. And I just instantly became obsessed. And after 6 months, I was like, okay, let's do this. And the journey of it has been a lot longer than I thought it would to get to where I am today. But in those years, those beginning stages, when there was just 2, 3, 4, 5, even 5 of us, every decision seemed so heavy and so instrumental, and someone leaving was so devastating. And also, it's such a brand new business. We changed the way we do our structure 3 times. You kind of have to figure out what it really is, and have a team that can be flexible. And we lost a few during those years, and that was hard, but it was also such an amazing lesson for me to know how to move things forward. And now the business is such a machine that every single part needs to be working, but if one of the parts isn't working for a minute, the machine's big enough to make up for it for a moment in time. And it's just the best feeling being able to get through those years so that now I can have this mindset of, okay, it's not the end of the world if someone leaves. Like, it's actually ends up always being better for everybody.
Agreed.
And how can I not support, and especially if they leave for one of my core value reasons, it's better for them and their family. It's better for their health. It's better for whatever their reason is. If it's one of my core values, I would be a hypocrite if I was to disagree. So
yeah, I love that. I love that guide, that you have such a strong guiding light that helps make those decisions, in a positive way. Tell me, Tara, what is a quote or a mantra or something that really keeps you solid, focused, moving forward when times are tough?
This is one I say all the time, and I wish I remembered where I heard it from, because I want to give this person all the credit in the world. I don't know who it is. So if you know, please tell me. I've been trying to search it forever, but this has been crucial for me, and a huge reason why so many of my main focus in helping people starts with foundations, and usually always goes back to foundations with every decision that you make, is if in business, if it doesn't come from you, it has an expiration date. And in life, if it doesn't come from you, it's just not living. I've always loved that. It's been huge. It always reminds me that if it's not coming from me, it's gonna die eventually. It was an idea that I took from somebody else, so it's not going to feel natural when I go to implement it. I'm not even going to remember next month that I started this new idea, because it wasn't mine, it was from someone else. And in life, if it doesn't come from you, if it's not something that really genuinely lights you up out of love and kindness and isn't doing that for others, then you're just not living life. And to me, that's really what we're all here to do, is live a beautiful, happy life, and make sure that every person we come in contact with leaves with this feeling that they can make an impact on the world. And that to me is what living is. So
I love that. That's awesome. What about a book or a podcast or someone that you follow that you think all salon owners should get their hands on?
Okay, so I literally just finished listening to this book on a flight back from Utah with my daughter, and the last chapter just it moved me. I was a little bit in tears. It was so amazing. And so this is the first one I can think of. I would highly recommend The Power of One More by Ed Milet. It's an amazing book, and it is all about how us as leaders can help ourselves make sure that we are focusing on the things that are most important, and then also being able to teach others that work for us to do the same. And it's amazing. Highly recommend. Even following him on Instagram has been super fun, because he's super consistent with what he teaches, Ed Milet. So I'd recommend it. High recommendation.
Amazing. I shall put the link in the show notes to this podcast episode. Tara, it's been amazing. I just love everything you have to say, and the way that you look at things, and your success to date is great. So I really appreciate the time that you spent with us today. It's great.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. This has been a joy.